Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hi, Chantel.
Hey, Roxanne.
Chantel, the Valley. I am so excited to speak about it. And I just want to know, based on this episode, if you feel like you're more into it now.
Oh, yeah, like they brought it. It was actually like in a great episode. And I think people kept telling us, like, I can't wait to hear your thoughts. So, like, I think we were going to maybe skip it this week, but then it was so good that there's no way we could skip telling our thoughts on it.
No, I don't want to skip it. I love the show.
I'm just saying, because we already had we already did some episodes, we had some stuff, and we've been very consistent though on each episode. So
Yeah. No, because I am so into it. I'm so into it. Before we get into the Valley, though, Chantel, it is so awesome seeing that a lot of you guys, now that we are walking and we bought that step counter, and just seeing that so many of you guys got it and are, walking a lot more and making sure to get your steps. I think that's so cool. I will say today is the first time that I have had a lazy day where I just don't have it in me. So I only have like a 1,000 steps, and I'm like, oh my gosh, because usually by now I'll have 10,000. So
can you buy it for me again? Because I miss it, and I feel like I was definitely more motivated when I had it, and I feel so guilty having to buy that again. So
okay, I'll buy it for you. Happy birthday.
But wait, one thing I'll say though is you guys, when I'm usually walking, I listen to a podcast. So while you walk, listen to our podcast. So if you're just sitting down, unless you've had a very hard day, get up and start walking.
That's what I was doing. Every time I was on the phone, I would just start getting up and walking. I'm like, I'm not going to sit and talk on the phone. I'm going to get up and walk and talk on the phone. And it really does motivate me. But today I'm just like, I don't have it in me. So I was like, whatever, I can have an off day.
Well, you're psycho. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's start talking about Valley, because so much happened on this episode. Again, if you're not watching, please watch. I would choose it over Vanderpump Rules. In fact, I 100% believe that some of the cast is going to join it next season, and that it is a huge success. But, I do love that when the episode starts, it starts off with Kristen walking us through her journey of getting pregnant and showing the sides of, seeing a negative test and being vulnerable to open up about that, because it's not always easy. And, sometimes in movies, that's all we see. They see the positive pregnancy test. They're so happy. And I like her opening up about it, and she's being positive. But also, that's why Michelle talking about Kristen getting pregnant really bothered me, because she's being vulnerable and she wants to be pregnant so badly. And I do feel she'll be a good mom. I know we all have drama, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be a good mom.
Yeah, exactly. Don't talk about someone's fertility. I think that's wrong. It's such a sensitive topic. And if someone wants to be a mom and, they can provide for their child, why should we talk negatively about them?
Yeah. I know Kristen and Luke, they obviously want a child, and they both, think going back and forth would be realistic. Again, I feel like it would be two for a few years, but then when your kids are in school, then what?
I know. You're going to pick a spot. You're just going to.
You have to.
But sometimes you just need to do it and be in it, and then you'll make those decisions.
Right.
Or at least have a plan, because then if you don't, maybe then it would cause for a divorce or something. But they're not even married yet, but still, someone's going to have to give.
Right. Exactly. Jax and Jasmine meet up, and that was random, I thought.
Yeah. You know what I thought was one of them texted the producers and was like, I want to have lunch with Jax, or the producer set it up, and it was so random to me.
Producers set that up. Yeah. Producers set up who meets with who and who hangs out with who. So producers can see what's happening, and then they're like, all right, who should we align to then talk about this? Or put together to then talk about this. I thought it was funny that Jack said Brittany doesn't tell him everything because he has a big mouth. And that's such a red flag, where you have to withhold things that you tell your husband because of his big mouth. But Brittany's that's smart of her.
I feel like not a red flag for the relationship, but like a red flag for him. Like you
Right,
should
yeah.
be better at it. He is the worst secret holder. And I loved during their meetup, I loved how Jasmine was like telling him, like, listen, you need to be like more into Brittany, because sometimes
Yeah.
hearing it from someone else is nice, but like it feels like Jax is just the same old Jax. He'll never change. He's like, I'm trying, I'm trying. It's like, are you though? You're not trying.
Right. What I thought was so interesting is Jasmine saying that Brittany doesn't want to end up like Jesse and Michelle. And he says that would never, ever, ever happen. And I feel like Jax being in the limelight is not good. I do believe Jax that he would make sure it didn't happen if he wasn't on TV again. But now that he's back in the limelight and then has a bar, there's just so many red flags.
I know.
Yeah. Jax tells Jasmine that Michelle has been texting other men and that he found out from Kristen. And here's the thing, if Michelle is texting other men while married, it's just not okay. Because if we found out that Jesse was doing that, we'd all be going crazy. And they're in therapy. So we know that she's obviously checked out. But at the end of the day, she's still married. She's still seeing a therapist. So if she's texting men married, to me, that's a no.
Yep, I agree. It's not okay.
Yeah. And I was dying that Jax is at that point where, he starts talking about his hair thinning. So he's partnering up with a company. And I feel like hair loss is a man's biggest fear. Like that
Oh,
and that
100%.
in height.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh. And he's saying that he's getting on top of that. I remember my husband actually had cancer. And the one thing that he just couldn't fathom is the fact that he's going to lose his hair. And he has such thick hair that he didn't lose it entirely, but that was so hard for him. So I know that men really struggle with that.
Yeah, it's like telling a girl she's gaining weight or something. It's like the
Yeah.
hair thing is such a sensitive thing. But I agree, like it's even with us. Like when we start thinning out our hair, we freak out because
Yeah.
it's the one thing that can like make you in a sense. Like it's just I don't know, it's like it's all of our security blanket for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I think hair makes a difference, period.
Yeah.
And I mean, women at least get to wear extensions. Men, they can't. They have to like
Yeah.
go to. I know so many guys who like went to Turkey and did a hair
Yeah.
transplant. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You either go there or you go get your hair, you shave your head like bald and you just try to rock that look.
Yeah. Again, Michelle is checked out, and I understand where she's coming from. She doesn't want Isabella to grow up in a household where all she sees is fighting. So again, she's done. She knew she was done. But it's interesting that they signed up for the show knowing where they were at in their marriage.
I know. I almost think like but it's kind of like what happens on the Real Housewives, where a lot of the girls will do that because it's like their way out in a sense,
Yeah.
and or sometimes it makes it bring it more to the light where you're just like, okay, this is the right thing for me to do, and like this is why you guys look. But it seems like I agree with her of why she got to the point of being checked out, but I think how she's handled it since that point of being checked out is really wrong, and I think that's where she messed up. If she just like was like, we need a divorce and that's it, I'm not happy, and then she did her like little frolicking with other men and texting other men, she could have just done that. But for you to hold on to whatever you guys have as a relationship is just what was wrong.
And maybe the show was like kind of pressured to hold on to it,
Yeah.
you know? I just love everything about Danny and Nia. You just look at Danny and Nia and know they were both raised so well.
I love them so much. They really give me like butterflies.
Yeah, and I love that they're not like Nia's not the type who's going to start drama or do anything for the show. Like she has her boundaries, and at least like on the Real Housewives, I do feel like there's way more pressure for drama because you can be like a one season person, and at least for like Vanderpump Rules, they don't like fire people after one season who was like originally cast. So I think that would be the same with the Valley. So at least like I think it's refreshing to see someone like that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
We were just Chantal and I were just talking about bank accounts and couples, like where they say their money goes into the same bank account. And Nia and Danny talk about how, their money, like she's basically an influencer and his money is like what they use. What does he do though? Do we
I
know?
don't know. I was curious when I watched it. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what, how much does he make?
Yeah. Chantal, what do you do with the bank account? You have your separate?
Yeah, well, we just got married, so we haven't like figured that out yet. But I like it separate for now.
Okay. Wow.
I
Okay.
mean, because my husband, even the other day, he's like, "How come I can't buy anything?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Because he's seeing all my. He's like now realizing I really do have a shopaholic problem. But like some of the stuff is for the house, but he sees like all these packages arrive for me on a daily, and he's like, "How come I never buy anything?" I'm like, "You can. You have your own money. Go use it. Like I'm not telling you what to do."
I know my husband does that, and he's like, "I've never bought new clothes in the last, like, 5 years," and I was like, "Okay," and he's like, "And you have a package every day coming in," and I was like, "But I'm also buying for 4 children now, so it's not just for me, I'm buying things for 4 children and delivering it to the house," and I'm like, "Then buy new clothes, like, my gosh." So
Yeah,
I feel
no
like
one's telling you guys not to buy
yeah,
anything, so
no
that's on
matter
you.
what, I feel like if your account is there's, like, pros and cons having the account together and not together.
Yeah,
For us, it's
I
just, like, easier.
yeah.
Um So Janet's husband is helping Danny put something together, but they aren't handy. I feel like it would be so hard to be with someone who isn't handy because I'm so not handy.
Welcome to my life.
I know you've like come to my house, and my husband is thankfully the handiest human ever. But like, if sometimes I want things done right then and there, that's the only annoying thing. And so, like, I've had Chantal come and put things, especially when I first had Charlie, like my first child, like Chantal came and put things together, and I'm like, "Are you good?"
I know, and then Jacob would get so mad. I'm like, "Okay, you did this wrong." I'm like, "Then why
Oh,
didn't you
he would
do
get so
it?"
yeah, he really would get so annoyed with her. She even and Chantal even, like, put my kids' playhouse together. I had 4 people come and put my play including my husband, put my kids' playhouse together, and the whole time I stood there and watched
You're the worst.
because I'm just not handy, or am I? You'll never know, because I just I claim
I
the
told you
I'm not
guys she like
handy energy.
lies. She lies about what she can't do.
Yeah,
But
um,
honestly, if you're in a new relationship, I think it's a great way to go, guys. Just pretend you can't do much.
right, I swear, start it from the beginning. There's gonna be pressure on the other person to, like, know their shit, or there's gonna be those people who are like, "Let's just pay someone to do it."
Yeah.
I will say when we first got married, I didn't know my husband was handy, so I hired someone from TaskRabbit to come and, like, put a mirror up and to do our curtains. I promise there's, like, a million holes in my bedroom because I did that, and the mirror, they did it the wrong way, and my husband looked at me and he's like, "I told you I was gonna do it," but at that point, I didn't realize how handy he was, and I didn't wanna wait on him, but ever since, like, I did that TaskRabbit thing and saw how they effed it up and I paid for it, and him looking at me like, "I told you I was gonna do it, and I would have never done that." I was like, "Oh, shit." So, sometimes, like, we could be too impulsive.
Can you come over because I have a few things I need done in my house?
I mean, offer some beer, and I'm sure he will. Or will he? I don't know. You have to ask. Actually, ask and put us in a group, and let's see what he does because 'cause I'm so curious. Um, so by the way, Jax's bar looks amazing.
Oh, really?
I think it does.
I think it's a cool concept, and I think that like I think it's a good like lane for them all to go in. These Vanderpump stars, to have
Yeah.
their own restaurant, their own bars, like where they came from.
He's not even paying anything, it's all investors.
I know he's smart. But I hate how he always throws under Sandoval under
Oh
because
my
it's like,
god, so
shut
stupid.
up, Jax.
Yeah, I swear. Oh, but before I get into the Jax, I did wanna say Jesse seems like to me, he wants to get better. He takes accountability for how he is. He knows he has to build respect, and he's making all the steps to try and be better, and he says this with his friend, so
Yeah, but it's a little bit too late though. So it's like,
I
where were
know.
you? But sometimes, like, people have to hit rock bottom. But like, she's so
Exactly.
checked out though at this point that's like, even if you really wanted to, like,
Yeah, it's too
it's
late.
too late. It's too late, especially in her eyes. Especially if she's tricking. Like, there's no way she's coming back when she's
Yeah.
gotten attention and saw someone who's more mature. Like, that's probably why like that director she was talking to who's older and like she like loves someone that's more mature than
Yeah.
Jesse, who's very immature.
It's funny seeing these men talk about feelings because I guarantee prior to the show, these conversations are, like, so ick for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
1000%.
Anyways, back to Jack. So he's stressed about being a dad, husband, starting a business. And it's crazy how guys act so stressed versus women. And at the end of the day, Brittany is the breadwinner here too. So what was interesting about the conversation is she asked Jax about getting pregnant next month. And she's like, we're still going to try. And Jax doesn't seem into it. So there's definitely a disconnect. But what do you think about someone trying when your relationship isn't in the best,
Don't do it. Plain and simple. Like, why do you think bringing another kid's gonna help you guys? But honestly, like low key, you just want another kid, and like that's what you want, then go
Mhm.
ahead. But if you think it's going to help your relationship, you shouldn't do it.
If you think it's going to help your relationship to, what do you
Have another
mean?
kid, like bring you together and like stay longer because you have 2 kids and you have to help. Like, don't do that. Like, that's not gonna bring in anybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to add more stress
Yeah,
and all that stuff. But again, you're hearing Jack say, we would never end up like this. So if like I'm hearing that, I'm going to say, all right, well, like, anyways, I want another kid. So let's get pregnant.
exactly.
I don't think people realize that. Like he's saying it's never going to happen. We're never going to separate. We're never going to, so I mean, I get again, there's like pros and cons to that. I was dying with the cast clowning on Jax for lying about losing hair, saying he'll do anything to cash a check because I didn't even realize that he was lying about it. And then Jesse says if he did have a hair issue, it was probably a colic. And by the way, I can relate to that. I have a colic that I have to brush over, and I am annoyed because both my daughters have that colic too, and I hate that colic.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and both of them have it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, let me brush it over. Where like you just have to brush it over. It looks like a little bald spot.
But what I like thought was so funny though, is everyone's like, yeah, cash those checks. Like, but I same though, because it's like if you're gonna get anything from anyone, like like don't just do it. Like this is not gonna last forever, so why not?
But would I get annoyed if I was Jax and they were saying that, knowing this is like a business venture and then trying to say that I'm just doing this for a check? I don't know. Would I maybe I would.
I mean, like you kind of have to like agree with them in the sense of like, yeah, I'm just doing
I
it
mean, like,
for.
yeah, I know. I mean, and then I started looking at his hair and I was like, wait, his hair does look really nice.
It's like same with like Brittany and like the weight loss. It's like, or the Weight Watchers. Yeah, I'm sure she did the program, but it's like, is she gonna follow that for the rest of her life? No, she did it for
Right.
a paycheck.
Yeah.
If
Um,
you get these opportunities, they should take them.
yeah. Janet and Jasmine sit down, and Janet wants to know how lunch went with Jax. And I feel like Janet probably knew already what happened with this, but they have to do this for the cameras purposes.
Yeah, because it seems like Jasmine and Janet are close. I don't love Janet, so I mean, maybe we'll think differently when she becomes a mom and she's a little different. I don't know.
Yeah. We see this chick talking to Jesse, Jax, and Luke, and this is at, again, Jax's event. And I don't know, it seemed like a setup to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
The
girl.
Burning Man girl?
Yeah, it seemed like I'm like, what? That she's too much. Like it
Yeah,
seemed like a setup.
she was definitely very thirsty, but like my take was like this is why you don't give anybody an inch because
Yeah,
girls are thirsty. Girls do want guys.
I
Like
know.
they probably look like they're rich a little bit. So she's like, yeah, like hello,
Or they're on
am I.
the show.
Yeah, so it's like, what do you think a girl's gonna do who doesn't really care that much and is like just wants attention and have fun? She's young, so it's like it just goes to show you that like this is why you don't even look at them.
If my husband told a girl, by the way, I want my wife to be wearing what you're wearing to that girl, like I'd have a problem with that.
100%, everything they did was so
Yeah.
wrong.
Do you notice how Danny isn't in this woman's presence?
That's
Like he would
that's what
never disrespect Nia like that.
I literally was thinking that, like,
Mhm.
that's why Danny's not even there because he's number
Yeah,
one husband.
smart. An older woman is jokingly dancing with Jesse, and Michelle's like, have him, have him. Again, imagine if the opposite happened and Jesse was shouting that.
Yeah, but then it's funny because then she sees him talking to like a younger
I
girl. She's like,
know. She's like,
"Hey, what's going on here? Are we gonna go to
yeah.
dinner?" Like, so it's like okay because now you see someone that he's like kind of like she's young, she's hot. Then you have a problem.
Yeah, because when Jessie returns the clothes to the Burning Man pop-up chick, I mean, the Burning Man pop-up chick was aggressive. She's inviting Jessie to her fashion show while she's dressed half naked. And it's like, ma'am, he clearly has a ring on his finger.
Seriously, but girls do not care.
I know, they don't. During dinner, Michelle says Jesse looks too serious. And I mean, it is serious for him. He said he had an hour session with his therapist and has realized that his marriage may be over. And I'm assuming Michelle had told the therapist there's no coming back. And the therapist is, preparing Jesse for that. But Michelle still calls out Jesse in front of everyone. And Jesse, he doesn't seem mentally there. But he does that weird bang on the table and asks Kristen if she has anything interesting to say. And Kristen says she's not doing this again. She says, you're a father, you're a husband, you're grown. And I do agree, but I didn't think his banging was being serious. Or did you feel it was being serious when he banged on the table? I thought he was like making a joke, like he's doing what he did last time.
Yeah, but it's like also psychotic. It's like too much. It's like you're really like it's like you're coming at me aggressive, and like someone like Kristen can't handle people like that.
I don't know. I just took it like a joke. So I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was that serious. I do like Luke. Kristen's talking crap about Jesse, and she says that his own wife called him a douche, and Luke is basically like, "Yeah, but you've called me that too." And she's like, "Are you lying?" He's like, "No, why would I lie about that?" And I was dying that he like called her out on that.
Yeah, Luke is definitely a stand-up guy.
Yeah,
Like
great guy.
he cares about people hurting his girl. He cares about making sure he can stand up for
Yeah.
his girl. He's like a man's man. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
I
Luke.
like him. Kristen wants to leave because she says Jesse is abusive. And then I died with Jasmine checking off all these offensive things that Kristen accuses people of, like racist and abusive. They're words you can't say so loosely. And Jesse is getting annoyed because Michelle is telling him to stop. And Kristen is then, she leaves, she talks to a producer and she says all these things about him. I think Jesse then left and he walked away and he hears it and he says, "If you bring out skeletons that I already don't know about my wife, I will bury you." And obviously not the best threat. Kristen says she would never do that, but she keeps implying she knows things. So it's like it's debatable.
It's not a good look. You can't as a friend, and I think Michelle ends up saying it too because I was thinking it. Like you can't say, "I'm protecting you." You're
Yeah,
threatening me. You're not protecting me. You are threatening me. You're basically saying you're telling everyone their secrets, but you're not going to say them. At that point, you're insinuating something. So it's just not cool that Kristen did that. You don't do that to a friend. You just don't.
right. Yeah. Luke hears the ruckus. He pushes Jesse back, and Michelle's like, "Back off my husband." And Kristen says, "You have no idea what he did to me." And Michelle's like, "He did nothing to you." Kristen says, "It's me protecting you." And protecting you. Michelle's like, at this point, she's over it, which I can understand because anyone who constantly holds something over you, it's just not cool.
Just say it. Like at that point, just
Yeah.
say it. Just say
Yeah.
what you're doing. Just say it.
Exactly.
Set us
Chris
both free.
yeah, exactly. Kristen says, "You want me to stop protecting you?" And what was interesting is in the confessional, they do ask Michelle about these secrets that Kristen is referring to, and she laughs about it, which is a little suspect because she obviously did tell Kristen things. Kristen says, "Your husband talked shit about you and that he's going to leave you in 2 months." Is it weird that I felt bad for Jesse here? Because in reality, it was Michelle who said it.
Yeah, that's like messed up. And then here you go, Jack is like, oh, it's
And
actually
he
the other way
walks
around.
away, and I'm like, "Dude, say something that's so messed up because it was never Jesse who said it." And Jesse's like, Jesse's like flabbergasted. He's like, what?"
You know what I think? You know what I think sometimes is that Kristen and Jax know the deal. They know how to get a good show. They know what to do. And I
Yeah,
think Kristen was really bringing it, and then Jax was trying to, but trying to stay out of it as well. Like he made
yeah,
sure to be like more sneaky. And I think Kristen didn't understand she wasn't dealing with the same people she's used to dealing with. So I think
right,
like a lot of things got thrown in her face, and I think she would take a different, tone next season.
yeah.
Or
Jesse
maybe she's just like that. I don't know. Kristen, you tell us.
I mean, she's bringing the show. She's bringing it, and I appreciate it because I think the show's really, really good. Jesse wants Luke to check Kristen. Luke wants Jesse to talk to his wife. I died when Jesse stormed at Zach, and Zach was like so helpless. Like, he's like, "What the F is going on? I just got here." And he didn't even try to fight Jesse back. He was like literally scared.
Oh my god, that and then like her Michelle's nipples out, like it was
Oh my
such a
God, I
hot mess of
know.
like
It
a
really
hallway what was
was.
happening. I was
Yeah.
cracking up.
Kristen says she is still being a good friend by holding on to her secrets. And then Kristen finally says out loud, Michelle has had a boyfriend for a year. And, but, Jesse didn't hear that. But to me, it sounds like when Michelle was unhappy last year and talked about moving into an apartment, that would probably be when all of this happened. And yeah, I don't know. It was just it's crazy, right? I don't know where Chantal just went. But on next week episode, we will see Jesse and Michelle talk about the rumors, and Jesse thinks this is making her relationship closer with Michelle, which is crazy. And a little bit of a sneak peek is Jesse will say on next week's episode, I think what it's actually doing is bringing us closer together because we're sticking up for each other all the time. And then he says, it was so hard for me to hear some of those things that she was saying. It's just like waking up in the middle of the night and thinking about comments.
Jesse said that?
Yeah. What just happened to you, Chantal?
I know. Oh my gosh.
I can't. Jesse will even question Michelle's behavior on next week's episode. He says, that gets in my head. And then it's like, you went out with your girls. Why didn't you post? Like, where he'll say all of this, like, rumors gets in his head. And then he says, why didn't you post any pictures of you guys drinking margaritas or something? And he'll be telling Michelle that. And then he says, did she really go out with the girls, or is she seeing somebody behind my back? All this does is snowballs. Then I have all these crazy ideas in my head. And then in a confessional that we'll see next week, Jesse elaborates on the potential evidence he has, saying, she used to tell me at first when we started dating, if I put my cell phone down, that is like a sign. And then all of a sudden she starts putting her cell phone face down. And then he continues and says, for years, she wouldn't go out and have a margarita without doing boomerangs. Then all of a sudden, no more posting. And her thing was, well, sometimes I want to take a break from social media. Bullshit. She just never took a break from social media ever.
Yeah. So like, okay, like then you're seeing all these signs. Like, how did you not question her?
Yeah.
Like, if that was a girl, the roles were reversed, we'd be on you like freaking crazy if all these things started changing. I feel
know.
bad for him in that sense. If
Me
she really
too.
like betrayed him in like the sense of cheating and being dishonest and disloyal, like that's not cool for anybody. So it's like, he could be a, like, not a great husband to you, but you don't go and do that. Break up the relationship, just like we tell all the other guys too.
Right. I agree. I don't know. I'm feeling really bad for him, and it's sad because they're obviously not together, but they shouldn't be together. They clearly
Yeah.
shouldn't be together.
And they're still young, and they both are like, good looking. Like they'll find someone if that's what
Exactly.
they want, and they can try to be happier without each other. I think they were too young and they got pregnant and stuff. So it's like, or they really like, just like people change and people can tolerate things later on, and like they can't tolerate things later on in life. And you could tell Michelle does not like Jesse's personality, so she really doesn't like
Right.
him as a human being.
Exactly. Yeah. So next week obviously looks very, very interesting. I'm super excited to see it. So yeah, to be continued. But I think that's all we have for today. So thank you guys for listening. Let us know what you guys think about the Valley, and if you're getting more into it, what you'd want to see, all that stuff. We love hearing from you guys.
Yes.
So thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye guys.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.